So we are going to do the assembly of our CPAP, looking at the basic components. So with the basic components, we will start with the bracket assembly trolley, which has a basket at the back, and then we look at the lazy arm, and the lazy arm has got knobs that we use to adjust its position. We adjust its position, and then we can even make it even more higher. The main point here is to try and ensure that our tube network does not touch the ground. Then we look at the blender. We ensure that the blender is mounted. The blender has got an indicator or a gauge for airway pressure, and then this is followed by our knob that adjusts the concentration of oxygen in the blended air in percentage form, so it's percentage oxygen. Then we have our flow control. The flow control is branded in liters per minute up to 15, which is what is to be supplied to the patient. And then follows the humidifier. The humidifier, as we can see, it has got modes here, a button for modes and one for silence. The mode has 3 modes: the neonate, the child, and the adult. Those are temperatures. And then it has got on the side connections for temperature and heater. Then we also have the pressure generator. The pressure generator has got markings where we fill our water to, and then those markings also show us that this is where we should be able to see bubbles. And the pressure is adjusted using the scale tube. As you can see, it is being adjusted, and when it's up, it's on 0, and it's measured in millimeters of water. So these are the basic components that make up the assemble for our CPAP. Then we also have the tube network, which is the circuit network, and the components that we are going to connect to the CPAP to ensure that the CPAP is fully assembled and we can start to operate. So we look at the first step that is meant to ensure that all basic components are in place: the blender, the lazy arm, the humidifier, and the pressure generator. Everything is there, mounted on the bracket trolley. That is step 1. Our next step, which is step number 2, is installation of the humidifier. The humidifier has got a humidifying chamber, and we install that humidifying chamber by pressing the green bar, which is shown by the red arrow. When we press it, we then slide the humidifying chamber into its position, and then we should ensure that we pour water, which is distilled or sterilized water, to the maximum. During its operation, you find that the water can drop from the maximum. So for you to add water, there is a small opening at the side which has a cap, a green cap. So you are going to open that green cap, and then you use a syringe to add some more water, sterilized water, into the humidifying chamber, as being shown here. This is what we do. Then we ensure that it retains back to the maximum. So this is how we ensure that the humidifier is ready for use. So we are going to connect the tube from humidifier to blender, which shows us the air that comes from the blender to the humidifier. And this is the tube, it's the shortest of them. So we connect first to the humidifier, and then we connect to the blender. This is the output air that comes from the blended air that goes to the humidifier for humidification. So I'm going to be demonstrating to you how you connect the heater wire into the breathing cable using the wire that has been provided by the manufacturer. I have been made aware that each facility that has got a CPAP, they have been given this wire. So this is how we do it. You first run the heater wire through the short tube. This is how you are going to do it. You take the wire that will be pulling our heater wire, and you run it through the tube right up until the end. Gently do it, don't force, no need for you to force. And then when it reaches the end, you just hook it. You don't tie it, but you just hook it to the wire, and then you pull the heater wire using the wire that has been provided by the manufacturer. And then when you pull it to the end, you then gently pull it all the way until you connect it in the other end. And then the next thing to connect is the filter. This filter, this is how you run it. When you put it there, because it will not bend to come the other side, you are going to use this wire again that we provided to pull it on the other end. And then once it's pulled on the other end, you pull it gently until you connect the shorter tube to the filter. Like this. So we are halfway done. Then you are going to run the wire, the heater wire, into the longer tube for breathing in, and then you are going to do it like this. You push it in, be gentle, because it's not going to be always easily flowing in. Sometimes we have to push it, and you can position it in such a way that it's easier for the wire to run through. So you push it until it reaches the end. When it reaches the end, you can see it coming out, protruding through the other end. Then you hook your heater wire like this, and then you can pull it. You can pull it. As you pull, the heater wire is also going in well positioned so that it's not going to be loose on the other end. So you pull it, take your time, be gentle with it so that it's not damaged. You pull it, you pull it, you pull it, you pull it, you pull it. So it didn't pack out nice, but we go and position it, put it like this, so that you give it a nice gentle pull. And then if you find it like this, then you release it a bit, and then you pull, you release. That's one way of correcting if you feel that it is not even right. So it's almost even, then you can pull it further, goes in, and then we have our connection in the filter side. Then you can loosen then you can even turn it around so that it leaves the heater wire. Then you can pull it out. So we are done with our connection for the wire. Then right here at the end, this is where we are going to connect the T-piece. Our T-piece is going to be connected in this end. And then we can connect like this. For the T-piece, that is where we are going to connect our temperature sensor. So this is how you are going to connect your heater wire through the breathing in tube. So we are going to connect next the humidifier or the breathe-in tube, which some call the heater tube. We are going to connect it. If you look at it, it has got wires that run inside. Those are heater wires. It's meant to warm up the air that is being taken in by the patient. Then we have this water trap bottle that is meant to trap the water or the condensate. So when we connect the breathing tube to the baby, we connect it to the humidifier, and then for the meantime we are going to hang it onto the lazy arm. But as you hang it, just make sure that the water trap bottle is hanging down. It should be hanging down so as to allow that any water or any condensate should flow back into the water trap bottle. All the water should fall in there. Yeah. So the next step is to connect the breathe out tube, or some call it the pressure generator tube. So we will first connect one end to the pressure generator. So we connect to the pressure generator, then the other end, if you notice, there is a T-piece there. A T-piece, we will revisit it on the next step. Make sure that it's on the side of the pressure generator, and then the other end is to be connected to the nasal tube. Then we can hang it onto the lazy arm. Carefully hang it and ensure that it doesn't touch the ground. And then the next part, we need to connect the nasal prongs. The nasal prongs appear in different sizes. You notice that, and they are always available. If you communicate, you will always get them. So this is how we are going to connect our nasal prongs. One side is to be connected onto the breathe-in pipe, and then the other side we connect onto that T-piece that I talked about. We are going to visit it on the next step. So ensure that all our pipes are well hung onto the lazy arm. Make sure that they don't touch the ground. So we are going to connect our pressure feedback tube, which is this small capillary tube, this one. So if you see, it's from the pressure generator, and then through the breathe out or the pressure tube to our T-piece. Our T-piece, you remember the T-piece that I was showing you earlier on? This is where we connect our capillary tube. We connect it here. It's going to provide feedback pressure. The feedback pressure goes to the blender, this blender. Now there is a small connection right underneath. It's small. You have to peep to look at it and to connect it carefully. Connect it carefully. That one. You can see how small it is in the connection. Pressure feedback tube from the breathe out tube. Next, we are going to fill sterilized or distilled water into our pressure generator. So first and foremost, you unscrew the bottle, separate the top and the bottle, and then you see the scales that are shown on top. First and foremost, you adjust your knob to 0. As you can see on the scales, it's to 0, that's millimeters of water. Then you can screw the bottle back after pouring the water to the dotted line level. If during operation the water is less, you can add water on the small opening. There's a cap there. You can open the cap, the white cap, and then you will use the syringe to add the distilled, remember it's distilled or sterilized water. Then you can add it until it reaches the dotted line level, which is the maximum level. And then after that, you can return the cap and mount the pressure generator on its position. So next step, we are going to connect the temperature and the heater cables. We first plug them in, and these are to be plugged onto the side of the humidifier. If you can see, they are color coded. One is yellow, which is the heater. This one is the temperature, which is the green. So the yellow one, which is the heater cable, it has got 2 pins. So the pins, when you connect there, they have to correspond with the grooves in the slot. So this is how you connect. It should give us a clip. Most times there should be a clicking sound. When you connect the temperature cable, it has got 1 pin, and that pin should correspond with the groove in the slot. So this is how you're going to connect it. When you push it in, it should click. That's how it should click. So when you are removing it, you should pull back the sheath first before you pull the cable out. Make sure that you pull back the sheath first. Don't just pull the cable, you will break it. You don't do that. You have to pull the sheath out first, then you can pull the cable easily. Then when connecting, first with the heater cable is to be connected to the manifold connection of the breathe-in cable from the humidifier. So when you are connecting it, make sure the pin also corresponds to the groove, as you can see. So then with the temperature cable, it has got 2 connections. The first one should be connected to the breathe-in manifold connection. Then when you connect it, make sure that that V-shaped groove should correspond to the pin, which is also V-shaped. Then the other end of the temperature cable, you should follow the breathe-in cable right up to where there is a T-piece there. It should be the breathe-in cable. Then where there is a T-piece, you just connect it. It has got no grooves, no pins. You can connect it anyhow. This is the temperature cable, and it's meant to ensure that the air that is taken in by the patient is in good temperature. Next step, we're going to connect our oxygen and medical air. In some places they use walled supply, but we are going to deal with the high pressure gauges. And the black one is for medical air and the white one is for oxygen. So the medical air, this is how we're going to connect it. Medical air is to be connected to the medical air cylinder. Make sure that you don't miss that. It's very, very important. The medical air is black. It's to be connected to the cylinder. As you can see, the color coding of the cylinder. Now connect it. You will screw the high pressure gauge onto it. You can't use the high pressure gauge on patients. It's to be connected to the machine. So this is how it's connected. You can use your hands. You don't need a spanner for this. Then that will be okay. It doesn't have to be very, 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 very tight. Then connecting the oxygen. The color coding is very important. It has to be white. And you can see even the neck of the cylinder is white. It's completely white, unlike the medical air. So this is how you do when you connect. If in places where there are biomed technicians, please ensure that they are the ones that connect here. But if not, you can follow this. You don't really need to tighten there. You don't need a spanner for that. So this is how you do your connections. And so from the machine, from the CPAP, when you are going to connect the oxygen, the pipe should be white, as you can see. And then the connections, as you can see, it's hexagonal to ensure that it's oxygen. It's a standard shape of the connections. So when you push it in, it should give you a clicking sound. In most cases, it has to be a clicking sound. Then you are sure that it's attached and it's tight. Then it's the same thing with the medical air. You can see the pipe is white and black, or black and white. Then the shape is round with a flat part. The shape should correspond with the connection on the high pressure gauge. Again, you put it in, you press, it should give you a clicking sound. Then you know that it's well attached. Then the other thing, maybe we might as well connect the power to the CPAP. It is connected to the humidifier. So make sure that your source of power is good, it's proper. It supplies 220 volts AC. So this is how the connection of the CPAP is, and it's complete now, as we can see. Next, we are going to switch on our machine and test and see if it's functional. You switch on the wall there, then on your extreme left of the humidifier, that's where the on-off button is. If you press it, it starts to boot itself up. And then the next button is the mode button. And then we have the silence button. So the mode button will show us three settings: one for the neonatal, the child, and the adult. Then these are preset temperatures for the air that is through the breathe-in pipe. Then when it makes a sound, you click the silence button. Then when we go to the blender, to test the blender to see that it's functional, you open one side of the two cylinders. In this case, we open the oxygen cylinder. When you open it, it makes a sound, and that sound shows us that the blender is working. So we are going to test our machine. So we're going to supply our blender with the medical air and oxygen. So to do that, you will notice that if you open one supply between the medical air or oxygen, there is a sound that comes out, and that sound means there is one gas that is being supplied, the other there is no. So when you open the other supply, whether it's medical air or oxygen, with both supplies there is no sound. Now you can see on the airway pressure indicator there is something, and then we have the ratio knob to adjust the ratios of medical air and oxygen, and we have an output flow control to adjust the output flow to the patient. And then another adjustment is done on the pressure generator, where we adjust the pressure, the positive pressure. We use the scale tube to adjust. There is a knob on top that will give us the adjustments. So in order to see that the generator is working, we should see the bulbs. And to see the bulbs, we need to block the nozzle prongs. So when you block the nozzle prong, you can see there are bulbs, there are bubbles that are coming up. And those bubbles are indicating that our CPAP is fully functional. One point of note is that whenever you hear a sound coming from the blender of the CPAP, the thing is, it's because only one of the air supplies is connected. The other one is not connected. It might be oxygen, it might be medical air. But if both of them are well connected and there are no leakages elsewhere, the sound should be gone. The next point of note is if you want to test if the components of the CPAP are well connected, you should block the nozzle prong. And when you block the nozzle prong, you should be able to see bubbles. And once you see the bubbles, it means the components are well connected and ready to be used. If you do not see any bubbles, it means that the machine is not connected well. So you need to recheck the connections and redo the nozzle prong blocking until the bubbles appear. Then the machine will be ready for use. Right, so I'm going to prepare our basin so that we can clean our breathing circuits in there, our breathing tubes. So when you are going to wash your breathing circuits or your tubes there and components, you should make sure that you use water that is mixed with soap. The most common is the dishwashing soap. And that dishwashing soap, it should not be oil based, and it should not have perfume on it. This for the safety of our patients, because if there is oil, there is perfume, it tends to stick to the walls of the inner tubes, to the inner walls of the tubes, and then it gets to affect our patients. So we are going to use that dishwashing soap. So what I'm going to do now is to first wash the basin so that it's clean. So this is what I'm going to do. Then I rinse it. So we have cleaned and rinsed our basin. With some, you might find to be more satisfied with our work, you can use alcohol solution to disinfect, just to make sure that, to take the extra precaution to ensure that you are comfortable with the cleanliness of our basin. So that's it. Then the next stage, you can clean it up first, maybe to remove the alcohol. So the next stage now, I'm going to fill our basin. By filling, I don't mean all over, but just enough so that we can be able to wash our breathing tubes and components. Warm water is best. Use warm to hot water. It works better than cold water. It's going to try and enhance the cleaning stage. Then we've poured enough water, then we can put our small amount of cleaning water. Right, so our soap is now mixed well with water. One of the maybe tips that you can take home is when you are going to use a detergent, use that detergent, which you can also use in your hands. It doesn't irritate, it doesn't give you maybe some form of allergy. Then you know that that's the right detergent to use when you are cleaning your tubes. It's quite neutral. So after this now, I'm going to take my components, including my tubes, and put them inside. Now you can do it the way you feel is best for you, but for now, maybe just to show you, somebody may ask, how do we clean the inside of the tubes? There are brushes that can be used to clean the inside of the tubes in the market. You can purchase it, you can facilitate the purchase, but for now I don't have it here. So we are going to use what we have. So one of the best ways to clean our tubes under such circumstances is to make sure that there is water inside the tubes. I'm going to just bubble some water inside, and then so there is water. So you are going to move the tube like this, up and down, up and down, up and down. Maybe just about a minute, you know that it's fine. Then you go to the next tube and you do exactly the same thing. It's another good way of cleaning up our pipes. Run the water up and down like this. That's one way of cleaning it up. The other good way would be to provide a brush that can go inside and do the cleaning. So it's important that when you wash it with soap, you don't leave it somewhere to dry, because if it dries, the soap dries on our tubing, even in the inner part, it will be difficult to remove when you want to run it with water. So soon after, you need to wash your pipes, your tubes. You can wash them with running water. That is, you thoroughly wash them with running water to make sure that all the soaps inside they've been removed. So you do the same thing for all the components. Remember, if you can get warm water, it's the best. So you can remove them. But then this is not yet enough, because we also need to disinfect these pipes. This is where the issue of the alcohol comes in. It's important that we are going to soak them in alcohol for about 30 minutes. It should be in alcohol. Now, in some places where you find alcohol is difficult to come by, it has been acceptable that you can use vinegar. 2 parts of vinegar to 3 parts of water, you mix it up. Then it can also work very well as a disinfectant. So after disinfecting for 30 minutes in alcohol, then you are going to rinse it again thoroughly, very thoroughly. Just run it in water, running water, all the pipes, all the components, you just run them in water. And then when you are comfortable, now you are sure that there is no more traces of odor or vinegar odor or alcohol odor, and you are quite sure, then you can now hang it somewhere, hang the pipes somewhere where you can where you can hang them to dry. Even the components, you can leave them to dry. When you find that they are dry and you are satisfied that they are dry, they are now ready for use. You can take them back now and you lay them down in preparation to do your reassembly for the machine.